Thank you everyone for waiting. We will now begin session 4, Environment②, Promoting Zero Emissions. Our moderator will be Mr. Togo Uchida, ICLEI Japan Executive Director, and the speakers are Deputy Municipal Commissioner of Ahmedabad, Mr. Mirant Parekh, Technical Deputy of the Mayor of Baghdad, Mr. Ali Hassan Fartusi, Deputy Mayor of Brampton, Harkirat Singh, Deputy Secretary General of Istanbul, Ms. Pelin Alpkokin, Deputy Mayor of Reykjavik, Mr. Dagger B. Egerton, Acting Under Secretary of International Affairs of the City of São Paulo, Mr. João Paulo de Oliveira. Please.
Okay, dear distinguished participants and those watching through the streamlining of this event, welcome back to the session 4 of today's program on promoting zero emissions, second of 4 environment sessions that we have today. My name is Togo Uchida. I'm the Executive Director of ICLEI Japan, and I will be the moderator of this session following the previous session that we had in the same room. Currently, over 55% of global population is living in the urban area, and this is expected to rise up to 70% in 2050. So if we do not have sustainable city, we will not have sustainable world. In the previous session, we have looked into cases of cities across many continents, which reminded us of how diverse cities are. Different geological condition and different culture makes all cities unique and attractive. At the same time, there are commonality with regards to approaches to some of the challenges that we face today. There are multiple approaches to achieve zero emission, but there are essence that we can learn from each other to be more efficient and effective. This is the reason that I am so excited to have leaders from Ahmedabad, India, Baghdad, Iraq, Brampton, Canada, Reykjavik, Iceland, and Sao Paulo, Brazil, all from totally different parts of the world gathered here in this session, which is happening in Tokyo, Japan. Before we start, housekeeping announcement. We have 6 fantastic speakers for 60 minutes session. So I have to ask all the speakers to be conscious of time. And as with the previous session, we will have first round of presentation by each speakers with 5 minutes, followed by Q&A session, and I will ask 3 minutes for you to respond for these questions. So without further ado, let's welcome the first speaker, Deputy Municipal Commissioner Mirant from Ahmedabad. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to the Tokyo Metropolitan Government for giving us this opportunity. To give you a brief introduction about Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is the commercial capital of the western state of Gujarat. The major industries pertain around automobile, chemicals, textile, and slowly and steadily it's developing as a semiconductor hub. Its population is around 8 million. But as is the case with almost all countries which are veering towards becoming developed, the rural-urban migration is on the rise, and so the contours of the city are constantly expanding. The population pressure is expanding on the infrastructure. So it's a constant challenge for the city of Ahmedabad to expand its horizon, to provide the livability and the basic facilities to the people and keep up the pace with the development metrics that it is climbing upon. For the first thing, I'd like to mention that being a part of G20, India was the host for G20 the last year, and Ahmedabad got the opportunity to host the Urban 20 component of it. It was during that time that the Honorable Chief Minister of Gujarat inaugurated the Ahmedabad Climate Resilient City Action Plan, outlining the various initiatives and our plans for achieving a net zero emission future for us. And under that, we have established a net zero and a climate resilient shell to achieve those targets. Now, this summarizes our basic modus operandi for achieving the climate resilient action plan and become a net zero an urban local body. Currently, we are focusing on doing a city profile and gap analysis. One of the primary things is that there are 48 wards in the city. We don't want to implement a straight-jacketed solution to different wards. All wards have different topographical regions, have different challenges. So we want to ensure that tailor-made solutions to the different vulnerabilities of different wards can be implemented. Similarly, climate risk and vulnerability assessment. India being closer to the tropics, heat and heat-related action plan becomes a priority, and so does the waterlogging issues. So we are identifying the vulnerable pockets in the city and trying to implement plans and measures which suit those particular areas, and we are implementing those tailor-made solutions. The next is the inventory and the scenario planning. As I mentioned earlier, that Ahmedabad is a growing city, and so the power needs will increase. The current power generation metrics is focused more on the thermal power generation. So what the scenario would be, how much would be through renewable, what would be the thermal component in the future. A deep analysis of that is happening so that we can ensure that almost majority of the power consumption that the city is consuming happens through the renewable sources. Similarly, we are focusing on the mitigation and the adaptation actions. Our priority target is to ensure that we mitigate the full-scale impact of climate change that might befall upon the city, so that the adverse impacts can be reduced substantially. But if the adverse impacts does impact the overall urban living, we are also focusing on the adaptation measures so that the population and the basic services can adapt to the adverse impacts of it. Based on that, we have created the action plan, and a constant monitoring and an evaluation is being done so that it is implemented systematically. This is the basic energy profile of the city. Currently, we are consuming almost 380 million kilowatt hour, 380 million units of electricity. Majority of it is being consumed by water and wastewater treatment. The next biggest consumption for us would be the sewage treatment plants and the sewage-related infrastructure. Street lights consume 12.61, and our office buildings are 2.59. We are slowly and steadily transitioning from emission-based and gas-based electric mobility and into public transport to electric buses. So we are proposing 350 electric buses, which will lead to complete transformation of the fleet and transition into the electricity based public mobility. Now, I'd like to highlight two measures. Supply side mobility. We are using the SCADA system for efficient water and wastewater management so that the non-revenue water component can be reduced substantially. This has led to almost 100,000 units of electricity saving per year. Similarly, we are installing solar panels and wind power on various corporation and urban local body assets, be it the various corporation buildings, be it the open plots. We are also creating big captive power plants. Our next big captive power plant is on a big piece of land which will be generating close to 150 megawatt of electricity. On the demand side, we are replacing all our older equipments with energy efficient systems and pumps to reduce the overall consumption, as well as we are replacing all our street lights with the LED lights to reduce consumption. These are minor tweaks, but this will lead to a substantial saving. So we are focusing on both the components. One would be on generating electricity. So 80% of our target would be generation of renewable energy, and 20% would be through efficient medium and efficient use of technology and scientific measures. We can reduce the overall consumption that we do. These are other initiatives. As we are running short of time, I'll wrap it up in short. We are focusing on non-motorized transport as of currently. So pedestrian-friendly streets are being implemented. We are also focusing on making it more pedestrian-friendly. Also, we are trying to, Ahmedabad has metro, it has a public transport in terms of buses, it has other modes of public transport. So to also ensure that last mile multimodal connectivity happens, to ensure last mile connectivity, we have also providing subsidized e-rickshaws to various self-help groups operated by females, so that also women empowerment and the labor force participation of females also increase in the overall urban metrics. We are also focusing on green cover and carbon sequestration. Nature has the biggest answer to climate change. To cover up for all the destruction of the nature that we have done up until now, we are focusing on increasing our carbon cover. And I'm glad to say we are taking inspiration from Japan. It was mentioned to us yesterday that during the construction boom in the 19th, Japan faced through the similar issue, where in the construction boom, green spaces were reduced substantially. But it was after that the Tokyo metropolitan government took up an initiative of greenification of the city, and to ensure that the component of nature into smaller pieces are integrated in the overall metrics of the city. So we'll be focusing and slowly and steadily developing that as well. And the final one is that we are establishing 200 tons per day waste to energy plan is already operational. The legacy waste at the dumping site is being converted into electricity through incineration, and generation of electricity is being provided to the industries nearby, as well as the semiconductor hubs that are getting established in the vicinity of the city as well. We are claiming dumping sites and converting into ecological parks. We are also taking various initiatives through the property taxation that we have in the city. There's a GYB scheme that we have implemented. So green is plantation, yellow is solar panels installation, and blue is the creating water harvesting structures in your private premises so that the groundwater recharge at your premises can happen. So we are giving 10% property tax rebate to the private properties who are increasing green cover by a certain amount if they are installing solar panels on their rooftop. Even the government of India has a scheme where it provides a substantial subsidy for installation of solar panels on private premises. And through blue schemes and water harvesting structures, we are incentivizing in terms of providing 10% rebate. I'm very happy to let you know that India has become the third largest solar generating nation in the world after China and the United States, and we are focusing on improving. And once the effect of compounding gets in, we completely believe that solar installation and the renewable energy generation will completely transform the landscape of country as a whole and our corporation as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Municipal Commissioner. Now I would like to move on to our next speaker, Technical Deputy of the Mayor, Mr. Ali Fartoush from Baghdad. You have the floor. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, in the beginning, I would like to extend my greeting and graduate to government of Tokyo and to the Global Cities Network for the Sustainable for this generous invitation to attend the city leader meeting, through which we can come out with fruitful results and outstanding outputs to combat the challenge and exchange best practice. Allow me to briefly talk about city of Baghdad. Baghdad, the capital of Iraq in the middle of East. The capital of country is located in the center of latitude 33 and longitude 44, for it is divided by the Tigris River. You know the main river in Iraq, the Tigris, the longest one, and divided Baghdad into two parts. The one called Karkh and another called Risafa. It was known for its historical and cultural heritage. The city of Baghdad is founded back to the year 762 AD, and it was called the Round City due to its design. It was also called the City of Peace, and it was once the capital of the world. Today, this city is administrated by the mayoralty of Baghdad, which I deputy of the mayor of the Baghdad, which was established more than 100 years ago. Last year, we celebrated the Golden Jubilee of its foundation. Baghdad now is inhabited by 9 million people, along with its survived with a population growth rate of 2.5. I will talking about the most challenge of the Baghdad. This is the divided of Baghdad for 15 municipalities. The first one, the waste management. We are suffering from the Baghdad producing approximately 10,000 tons per day of waste. Therefore, we want to help to control this waste by actually this issue is considered as an administrative and financial and environmental challenge. That result to implement some projects, including transfer stations for compacting waste in order to reduce the quantities and circulation and the number of machines. Working in the transportation, there are 9 transfer stations established with a design capacity of 500 tons per day, like this one. In addition, there are 2 factories for sorting and recycling waste and producing organic fertilizer with a capacity of 1,000 tons per day for each factory containing semi-landfill sulfur waste that cannot be used. Today, we are working to establish waste sorting and waste-to-energy plants. There are 2 waste sorting plants with a capacity of 3,000 tons per day waste, one in the Rasafa site and another in the Kirk site. The Rasafa now has been announced for the investment. Another challenge for in Baghdad, how to control the wastewater throughout to the river without treatment. Therefore, we do some water treatment to establish 3 tertiary treatment units near wastewater treatment plant to improve the quality of the result. Another challenge, the supplied the city of Baghdad with the pure water, because when the big challenge that encounter us is the impact of the low level of Tigris River on the water plants, which were designed to work in 27.5 meters above sea level. The majority of also working to increase green spaces, improve irrigation methods. Addressing the climate change and achieving sustainability required enhancement scientific research and technological development in several areas, including technology transfer. In this context, we would look forward to cooperating with our friends and colleagues in global cities networks for sustainability through the exchange of knowledge, experience, and vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fartushi from Baghdad. So next, I would like to move on to the American continent. We have Deputy Mayor Halakilat Singh from Brampton. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you to the governor. Thank you to the government. You've done a remarkable job of hosting this event. We've learned a lot, and we're excited to implement many of our learnings as well. Next slide. Okay, so I represent the city of Brampton, and Brampton is undergoing transformative change. So we have one of the youngest populations in the country. The average is around 37, 38 years old. We have the most diverse population in the country, and this has resulted in many significant advantages. And one competitive advantage we've noticed is the number of businesses we're attracting to the city of Brampton. So from 2021 to 2022, 13.1% of we had business growth in the city of Brampton, or 10,665 businesses. Brampton has experienced a 50% growth rate in employment in the health and life sciences sector since 2005. So I personally chair the MedTech Task Force, which is a task force that combines industry leaders, businesses, academic institutions, and land developers to look at seriously of having Brampton attract more life sciences companies or medtech companies, especially down the line and in the future, as these have long cycles for attraction. So an overview of the city of Brampton. For when it becomes the climate change, we were noticing there was a lot of noise and discussion about climate change, but the implementation wasn't as fast as I wanted, my peers wanted, or the mayor wanted. So in 2019, we declared a climate change emergency. Brampton has also established the ambitious goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 80% by 2050. And we established the Center for Community Energy Transformation, which I'll talk about a little bit further as well. We've completed many plans. We have a vision for 2040, which the whole city of Brampton participated in, many residents, to get that overall vision of what we want Brampton to look like 20 years down the line. Then we also did the Brampton Go Green Environmental Master Plan, Community Energy and Emissions Reduction Plan, which we're also revising, and the Energy and Emissions Management Plan. So we've done a lot of plans, but now we're moving towards implementation. And so when it comes to climate change, we have our climate change adaptation plan. And this plan really looks at climate change from a 360 degree view. We have a huge concentration on transportation because we're home to the largest railway hubs in the country. So when it comes to truck traffic, when it comes to public transportation, our transportation is has the fastest recovery post-COVID in the country, and it also has the fastest growth rate in the country. So our public transportation and our climate change targets are really attached. As we grow, we need to do it in a more sustainable way. So we have two things we wanted to highlight in particular today. One is the Community Energy and Emissions Reduction Plan, which is an effort by the City of Brampton to reduce community-wide energy and use by at least 50% by 2016 levels. It's, we're expecting to retain at least 26 billion in cumulative energy costs within the community by 2041. We've really just started the work on this. We have this organization working with homeowners, looking at retrofits. We just retrofitted our community centers. In Canada, and in Brampton in particular, ice hockey is very popular, and those rinks were huge polluters. And so we were able to secure federal grants to retrofit them, and they're almost at net zero now, which wasn't true earlier on. And our biggest and personally the most exciting for me, because the area I represent in the city of Brampton will be home to the largest bus facility for zero-emission buses in Canada, will be in my area. So we are looking at a zero-emissions bus strategy. So, coming here and we went to the Urban 20, there was always a lot of talk about how is this getting funded. And so we've been able to garner partnerships with our federal government. We also have a provincial level, so we have 3 levels, and a municipal where they provide sometimes 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But we also have a Canadian Infrastructure Bank, which has allowed us to get $400 million to support the purchase of 450 zero-emission buses as well. And so that'll be a mix. Originally, and that's why you see in the slide, it was electrification of transit buses. It was going to be fully electric. But as Tokyo knows better than us, hydrogen is also playing a big role. So we have a mix coming in. So it'll be electric buses and hydrogen buses. So we're really trying to reduce our carbon footprint through public transportation. And this is one of the more exciting projects throughout the country as well. And so transition to the full fleet to zero-emission buses is anticipated to save 115 tons of CO2 per year, totaling 53,000 tons annually. And so thank you for giving us the opportunity to share these exciting projects.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Singh. Thank you so much for sharing all these activities that you do in Brampton. So now we would like to move on to Turkey. Deputy Secretary General Pirin from Istanbul, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, Istanbul. Now, we've been talking about, since the morning, there are a lot of speakers from different parts of the world, from different continents of the world. But I think Istanbul is unique because it is coming from 2 different continents. It's located both in Asia and Europe. And it's not only the geographical, but also cultural-wise. Istanbul is quite unique in that sense. And its symbol is because it's surrounded by water. The ferries are the symbol of Istanbul. It's pity that they are not the main means of transportation. Well, Istanbul is also unique for its population. The registered population is exceeding 16 million, but with unregistered population where we have the immigrants, and with the daytime population where the people are commuting from the surrounding part of the city, it goes up to 20 million. So we have 20 million people living in Istanbul. So it brings a lot of transportation plans, it brings a lot of environmental problems. And more than that, although it's not the capital of Turkey, it is the economic center of Turkey, because almost half of the economic transactions either start or end up in Istanbul. So that also brings a huge mobility in Istanbul. So we had the elections just finally settled, and the mayor's vision for Istanbul is that during the elections that was pretty much announced to be fair, to be green, to be creative. I think that also aligns with what we've been discussing in the morning today. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something very similar for what we have heard from many different cities. Just to very quickly brief you on what we have done on the paper, what we have done on the strategy. So Istanbul has some initiatives and commitments. So deadline 2020, see 40 cities we have committed. Now we are working for Build for Green Istanbul EU Commission and Net Zero Cities mission. We are included in that. We have the action plans. These are climate action plans, sustainable energy, climate action plans, green city action plan. So these are all, most of them are all European funding, EU funding as well. And Istanbul is also unique because Istanbul is the first and the only municipality from Turkey as a member of C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group. So that also is very important for the other cities of Turkey. And we have, of course, the objective to be a carbon neutral and climate resilient city by 2050. And we have the climate action plan, which briefly mentioned, which very clearly formalizes mitigation and adaptation actions and energy waste, transportation, water and wastewater. And we have the Build for Green Istanbul, because Istanbul, you know, in the morning I've seen a picture of it. Last year we had a very terrible earthquake in the southern part of Turkey, and unfortunately we had almost 60,000 people of death. That is the registered number. More than 50,000 of people died. And if that happens in Istanbul, that's going to be a disaster, because we forecast that more than almost 100,000 buildings will collapse. That is a huge amount but it's not only the people will be dying, because it's the economic center of Turkey that will create a lot of adverse impacts on the Turkish economy. So Istanbul has been going through an urban renovation. It's far below what is required to be, and of course we still had a long time for completion of the urban renewal. And we have all the actions planned in place, like I mentioned, but now we need to accelerate the implementation. We really need to take actions, which we are taking. And if you stop a citizen of Istanbul and ask what is the most crucial problem in Istanbul, and they will probably raise transportation, because the public transportation is still basically vehicle type of transport, a highway type of transportation, which runs on buses. So we need to improve our public transportation network, basically metro and tram lines. So we have many projects. We have the European largest waste to energy project that started operating 1.5 years ago. Another is under design, so I can increase the numbers. But in terms of public transportation, this project is very unique because it has a budget of 6 billion euro, and it's called more than a mega project, because if you're dealing with a climate change, if you're dealing with a sustainability, you have to consider all mega projects. So this is basically an express metro system that runs from east to west of Istanbul, 75 kilometer underground, crosses the Bosporus, straight underground tunneling. But this will attract a lot of captive car users. This will increase enormously the public transportation on electrification share. And so this is a very important project. It's similar to that of Elizabeth Line or some other express metro lines in Turkey and China. And in order to implement these projects, we need, of course, a huge budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Secretary General Pirian. Now we would like to move on to Deputy Mayor Dagurbi Gatsun from Reykjavik. Yes, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, and it's quite humbling to be in the group of these great cities of the world. Reykjavik is the capital of Iceland, an island in the North Sea, in between Europe and the US, but we see ourselves as Europeans. Wait. This is me, with my childhood friends. I'm the first mayor that grew up in the suburbs of Reykjavik. And this is to remind both myself and everyone else that where I'm coming from, and that it's not something that you take for granted to sit on the stage with these great people from these great cities. Iceland grew from being one of the poorest countries in Europe 100 years ago to being one of the most affluent. Part of that was building on natural resources that we knew were there, but we didn't use. 100 years ago, in the small, almost town of Reykjavik, we had smog coming from the burning of coal. Although under our feet we had warm water, geothermal water that we started utilizing to warm up the houses. And never waste a crisis, someone said, and in the 70s, Reykjavik took the big leap to hook up every house to geothermal. So you don't see it really when you're in the city because it's just there, but 100% of all electric production in Iceland is green, geothermal or hydro. What you see is the swimming pools and the artificial beach, because Iceland is quite cold, so we heat up a beach with geothermal water so people can swim in the ice-cold sea for their refreshment. I take these old examples because I think we need inspiration also from the past when we're dealing with issues that seem too big to handle all over the world. And in the recent years, we have been focusing on waste management. We are an affluent nation and we consume a lot, too much, people would say. But we have managed by redefining how we manage waste to lessen what goes into landfill by 90% over the span of 6 years. That is by changing how we do it in the homes, but also by regulating it that comes from companies. And one of the keys to Reykjavik's climate action plan is that we have worked a lot with companies and the business environment. Before the Paris summit of 2015, I called on companies to make a stand with the city of Reykjavik, and I expected kind of the progressive few, but most of the biggest companies in Iceland took a stand for climate action, almost criticizing the government that wasn't that keen on it at the time. So the Reykjavik Declaration was presented at the Paris summit, and that led to everything from banks to aluminium smelters to set out targets. The difficult part now is transportation, because Reykjavik was, as many cities, planned in the 60s as the perfect car-dependent city. So in my time, I was mayor for 10 years, was to turn that tide 180 degrees by developing the city inwards and changing the modes of transportation. So we are investing, but the big challenge will be to have people with us in the next steps. And they will kind of define if we prevail or fail in making Reykjavik one of the greenest cities in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Igatson. I would like to go to our last speaker. Let me invite Acting Undersecretary of International Affairs, João Paulo de Oliveira from Sao Paulo. Please.
Well, good afternoon all. First, I would like to thank the Tokyo Metropolitan Government for receiving us here and for coordinating this summit, which help us to design the future that we aim for our cities. Well, I will briefly present the city of São Paulo. We are located in the state of São Paulo. We have about 12 million inhabitants in the city of São Paulo, so we are the most populous city in Brazil. And also we are the economical capital of Brazil. And so all the economy and all the industry and all, innovation and all that stuff happens in São Paulo. But when São Paulo comes in the mind of most of people, is like Tokyo, that you have big buildings and concrete everywhere. But in fact, the 54% of the city of São Paulo is covered by green spaces and rainforests. So it's a big and important part of the city that we have to protect, and I'm going to talk about it. About the greenhouse gases emissions in the city of São Paulo, most of them come from the transport, and because São Paulo also is a car-dependent city, and so we are trying to improve our public transportation as well. And so this will be my main focus here in this presentation. So starting when we have this really challenging transport decarbonization project that we are, we align with the most modern public policies in the field of urban mobility and committed to the goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and achieving zero emissions by 2050. Our planning is presented by the goal programs that we have in the city of São Paulo. Also, we have a climate plan in the city. And so by the end of this year, we aim to change like the 20% of the fleet that we have in the city of São Paulo. Right now, we have about 12,000 buses running around the city, and only 270 of them are electric buses. But by the end of this year, we are planning to have the acquisition of 2,600 buses in the city. It was a really challenging, not only because of the budget that we spared for that, but also because it's a huge demand that we have from the companies that produce those buses as well. And to achieve the goal of changing the fleet in the city of São Paulo, we have a partnership with the NOx, it's an Italian company for energy distribution, to assist the companies that we have concessioned the public transportation in the city of São Paulo, to help us with the logistical infrastructure that we'll need for this big change that we are having in our public transportation system. And also, by the end of the last year, São Paulo significantly reduced carbon emissions through increased bicycle usage, and mainly in the short trajects that people made between work and home. And so we have a huge investment to create more, to increase the length of the bike lanes that we have in the city. So it's also a huge project that we're trying to create the conscience in the population in São Paulo that change the way they move around the city is important as well, to prevent the disasters that we are facing in Brazil as well. So, and the city of São Paulo is actually actively pursuing the decarbonization of its municipal fleet. Also, we have cars and trucks that, they have services for the city hall, and we are trying to change also this fleet to a more green and sustainable fleet as well, so to prevent and go towards the objective to, zero emission by the end of 2050. So this is also, thank you very much for your time, and it was an honor to be here.
Thank you very much, Acting Undersecretary Oliveira from Sao Paulo. So that was our final presentation part. I would like to move on to the question and Q&A part. So now, again, we are a little bit over time. So I will ask one question, but I will ask and request all of you to answer in short, if possible. And I would like to start from Deputy Municipal Commissioner Milan from Ahmedabad. So you also mentioned about the Urban 20 meetings that you organized. As you may know, Japan hosted the G7 last year. And I personally was involved in the Urban 7 activities, and we prepared a mayor's declaration of representing the G7 local governments to be heard to our governments of G7. Now, you also prepared Urban 20 mayor's declaration representing the voices of local governments from G20. Can you please share us the outline, the key points, key messages that was drawn from this declaration, please?
So Ahmedabad city was the host for the Urban 20 component. The major highlight of the communique, or the major portion of the Urban 20, was the message of one world, one family, and one future. India is rooted in the ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where we consider the entire world as a family. Now, in recent times, as we all know, that climate change and environmental degradation has reached to a substantial level that no single country has the potential or the prowess to handle it alone. So it is only through a collaborative effort that we can address the challenges of global warming. Now, two basic and major components of it were the transfer of technology and best practices, and the second one was on climate financing. Now, for the best practices and technology, many of the developing countries, as they are going through a developing phase, primarily depend on the thermal emission or the thermal source of power. Now, for them to transition from a thermal-based economy to a renewable-based economy without compromising on their development, they have to be a catalyst for them to accelerate their growth. So in terms of that, technology, handing over technology to them can really be helpful in accelerating the growth of a transitioning or developing economy from a emission-based economy to a renewable economy. The second component was on climate financing. Now we all know that the adverse effect, we can all feel it in our day-to-day life, the adverse effects of climate change. Now without front-loading the climate financing and providing loans or other financing facilities to developing countries and ensuring their transition and their adaptation and their mitigation measures, we are looking at catastrophic attempts. So developing and developed countries both are a part of G20, and we consider India to be a voice of the global south. So we want that the entire developing world should, in collaboration with the developed world, front loads their attempts to ensure that a smooth transition from a emission-based economy to a renewable-based economy happens, and we as a whole, through a collaborative effort, can substantially reduce the adverse effects of climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Milan-san. I would like to move a question to Technical Deputy of the Mayor, Mr. Ali, from Baghdad. In your presentation, you mentioned about your appreciation to be part of this Tokyo's activities to get together here in Tokyo and being able to exchange ideas and learn new things. My question to you is that if this kind of city-to-city collaboration happens in the future continuously, what kind of collaboration would you like to see more to happen in order for your local actions to be more proactive?
Thank you very much. You know, in other countries, and that fixed in UN, Iraq, one of the five countries affected by the climate change. Therefore, we go into two lines: mitigation and adaptation. Therefore, we need help from the G-NET countries in these fields. For example, we need help Japan in the field waste to energy, because Japan it has good experience in this field, and other countries I think that. Also, our rivers is coming from the outside of Iraq. Therefore, we need cooperation of the countries when these rivers, the source from these, to give Iraq the enough quantity of the water, especially the Tigris River, because in Baghdad, we need the enough quantity of the water for the drinking water. For example, maybe another in the technology and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I have a questions to Deputy Mayor Brampton, Mr. Sin. So in your presentation, you mentioned that Brampton is attracting new businesses and innovators into your city. And you also mentioned about committees and how you are utilizing community center, for example, to facilitate these activities. I would like to ask you a question about the relation between public and private companies, because usually we say in the climate agenda, we need cooperation from the private companies, we need innovations. But on the other hand, public sector sometimes find it difficult to just work with single companies or single very innovative companies. So how are you dealing with this? How are you attracting and how are you utilizing these innovations and business into your public operations in Brampton?
Thank you. Hello. Thank you. That's a good question. We're doing three things. So one is reducing red tape. So what we're doing is we're making it easier for businesses to get their permitting and zoning when they're trying to build or retrofit any sort of existing facility. So that would be the first way. We have amazing departments that help facilitate growth. We have economic development department. We have a planning department that really help facilitate facilitate growth for businesses. And their goal is to make it as easy as possible for a business to move or expand in Brampton. The second is we have deep-rooted relationships with provincial and federal governments, or provincial is our state level. So when businesses come to the city of Brampton, we could provide maximum benefits, because maneuvering government is very difficult. And so our goal is to help businesses to maneuver government, and not just our level of government, but provincial and federal, so they can maximize incentive programs and resources. For example, when we came to Tokyo, we had connected with the embassy, and they helped us build connections. So making sure we can add value for businesses is another way another tool we utilize to foster relationships and attract businesses. Lastly, we as, I guess I'm a politician, so as politicians have good relationships with our staff. So we have the ability to, as politicians, to get out of our council chambers in our city and try to build connections with businesses. So for example, I personally am chair of the MedTech Task Force. And so that has our med school on there, that has the 5 largest landowners on there, that has 5 largest companies in Brampton in medical sciences. So it brings together 20 stakeholders with myself, our medical school dean is the co-chair, and also our staff is there to support it along the way to help grow industry. So that relationship has been very important at the city of Brampton. And our mayor right now is in England trying to attract businesses. I'm in Tokyo. So our council, and I attribute it to the fact it's one of the youngest councils in the country too, is very aggressive in attracting businesses. So that's been very helpful as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Now I have a question to Deputy Secretary General Perrin from Istanbul. So from your presentation, you mentioned that your Istanbul have a very impressive goals on decarbonization. You're part of the EU's Net Zero Cities pilot program. And I got the impression that Istanbul is really now focusing on the implementation side of really achieving net zero up until 2050. Now, my question to you is a little bit more of a networking or the collaboration side of activities. So you mentioned Istanbul is in the middle between the European continent and Asian continent. And I'm sure that you have a lot of connection with the European cities through the EU net zero zero carbon city initiatives that you're part of it. But in terms of the relation between the Asian part of the world, and especially since you are here in Tokyo, in Japan, in the Asia, what kind of opportunities do you see as Istanbul partnering with local governments in this part of the world in achieving your goals to become zero carbon?
Thank you very much. And I just want to repeat again that if you are dealing with climate change and sustainability in a mega city, you need to manage projects which are mega or more than mega. And to be able to manage these more than mega projects, you need to develop 3 main strategies. First is technology. Like localization of technology transfer is very important. So you in here you have the innovations in technology, but sometimes technology transfer is quite time consuming and really tiring. The second would be the regulations, because I mean, when I say regulations, I would say national regulations and global regulations, because I'll give you an answer. If yes, EU is a big partner, a big supporter of Turkey, but if you need to go and get some funding from the multilateral European development banks, it takes almost 1.5 years to complete the paperwork. So if a project is a climate change project and it's a mega project, then we need to find ways to change the regulations to accelerate the permissions and approvals. And of course, when you consider locally, I'm coming from a a big city where the central government and the local government have very different political views. And it takes really a long time to complete the paperwork nationally as well. So we need some maybe practices that you have overgone in terms of accelerating the regulations and procedures. When it is a project, it's a mega project that is fighting against climate change challenge, climate change. And finally, of course, budgeting. Yes, maybe the big funding institutions should sit together to find a way to better and to faster funding of the projects like the one I showed you on the slide, or some other ones that here most of the representatives and the mayors of the city have been introducing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I have a question to Deputy Mayor of Reykjavik, Mr. Gatson. So thank you very much for your presentation. It was very impressive to see how the past legacy has been contributing to the climate actions in your city. You mentioned about the next step is on transport sector. Tell us a little bit more about what exactly you mean about the challenge and the next step you're talking about for the transport sector.
Well, thank you. The challenge is to change the way people travel. And my background is in medicine, so I know that we as humans tend to do what we like, although we know it's not good for us. So this is a challenge, and we analyzed it for Reykjavik, and to a surprise, it was not first and foremost about vehicles or technique. It was about land use and how we plan the city. So we are densifying it, and we are doing it in a transit-oriented manner, quite radically. Secondly, there is this concept of build it and they will come. We did that with bike lanes. So in 2000, almost nobody used bike in Reykjavik. Now it's over 7% of all trips taken. So that has grown by hundreds and hundreds of %. Thirdly, we are going to research this. So we are one of the net carbon cities of Europe, and we are going to research what are the bottlenecks and what really takes that you change transport. And then we're going to benchmark. I got to know the governor of Tokyo through a steering group of OECD mayors for inclusive growth, where I was chair. And the next step of OECD mayors is to try to benchmark best practice in transport, in urban settings, to reach climate goals, to reach fair transition, and to reach the livable cities we all want to live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So to our final speaker, I have a question. So you're from Sao Paulo, and we talked about the Urban 20 happened in India, in Ahmedabad, for Urban 20 meetings, because India was a host of G20. Now we all know that G20 will be is hosted by Brazil this year, and in Colombia we'll host the CBD COP end of this year. And then you have a big event coming up next year of hosting COP30 of climate change. Because of this, as ICLE, we've been seeing that this year and next year will be the year of Latin Americas. We all know that the sustainability issue has been very popular, and your government and your local governments have been very active in approaching the sustainability agenda in the past. But is this a new trend? I mean, is it growing interest? Do you feel that as a Sao Paulo city official, is it growing in your region of the interest of people?
Well, it's a good question. First of all, next June we will host like the ICLE World Congress as well. This is a huge and important event as well for the sustainability cause. And also we will host the first meeting of the U20 next June as well, just before the ICLE World Congress. But the cities in Latin America in general, they were always worried about how they will tackle the issues that the population are always demanding from us. So in the past, the federal government, they didn't understand the role of the cities around the Latin America in general. When we think that the cities are the ones who are dealing with the population on a daily basis, so we are the first ones to respond on a crisis, emergency, or to, well, the health issues, the education, it's always us that have to take care of that. So it's not that it's a new trend, but it's now we have a more conscious participation of the whole population of the other cities in Latin America as well. And I would like to cite Buenos Aires, Bogota, Medellin. They are important cities on the corporation in the city level, and so São Paulo as well has a big role, not only in Brazil but in Latin America, as a big city, a huge city, and we are always trying to gather all those cities to work towards the sustainability cause, and also because we are facing more and more in our cities disasters like we are facing now in the south part of Brazil. Porto Alegre is a huge city for Brazil. It's like the 50th most important city in Brazil, and it's completely flooded. And so we cities were the ones who come to respond and help them first, and then the federal government, well, took a while to go there and try to understand the crisis, but we were prepared for that. So that's the importance of having this agenda for the cities, and that's the importance of raising the awareness of the role of the cities on this stage. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are all excited to be part of your activities, and I myself will be in Sao Paulo next month. So very much looking forward to this contribution from the Latin American cities in the coming years and months. So with that, thank you very much for the speakers. That's the final question from the session. Apologize for the mismanagement of the session's length. But I think in this session we heard many of us mentioning about the finance and the regulations and how that is really important. But we have been hearing also from the participants about utilizing international framework and global networks and city-to-city collaboration and private and public participation and collaboration. So I think that would be the key message coming out from this session. Can I ask all the participants to express the respect and gratitude with a round of applause to the speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we would like to take a commemorative photo with the members here. So we would like you to gather in the center of the stage. Thank you very much. That concludes our photo shooting. Please give a round of applause to everyone who took the stage. Thank you very much. We would like to conclude this session 4. We will now take a 10-minute break. The next session, Session 6, Environment②, Building Cities in Harmony with Nature, will be held in this room. And Session 7, Inclusive and Just Societies 2, Promoting Well-Being, will be held in the Tsuru room. The session in this room is scheduled to begin at 3:40 p.m. Please arrive by the starting time. In addition, if you are speakers in the next session, our liaison will direct you to the briefing room 10 minutes before the starting time, which is at 3:30. Thank you very much.